Hi, good evening. This is Chika, and I'm coming to you live today without Christy. This is the Chika and Christy show. Unfortunately, Christy couldn't be here this week, but she will be back this week. And if you've been following our show, you'll know that we've been discussing email sequencing, the battle for your inbox. Now, we know that email marketing, although it's a huge part of internet marketing. To some, they suggest that it's been on the wane. In fact, the battle for your inbox is what I'm going to be calling this. But what we want to, or what I want to really talk about today is soap opera sequencing, building suspense and tension. In other words, creating that urge to click on that email. And I'm going to be taking you through some more tactics, some more ways to actually build that connection, the relationship, if you like, using the art of storytelling to connect, persuade, and influence your audience. And I'm going to be sharing with you a few examples and go through a few PowerPoint slides just to really drive home the point. So here we are. We're going to be talking about the open and nested loops. And this is a secret to building suspense, drama, tension, and actually owning the attention. Now, you'll see that they use this technique in very popular soaps, and we're going to be covering that. And next week, we'll be continuing on. So wait until the end just to find out what we'll be doing next week. So without further ado, and unfortunately, since I'm flying solo today, I don't have Christy to bounce off. Obviously, she's not here. She's not going to be bouncing off me. So you're all I'm getting tonight. Now, just to put this into a frame of reference, when you have an email sequence, someone has opted into your list, you start sending them, drip feeding them messages over a period of time. There's a way, there's a science, there's a method that you can use, which I'm going to be explaining. We have been explaining over the past few weeks, that will gain you more traction, that will enable your email to be opened, that will actually connect, persuade, and influence your prospects. There's no good, or rather, it's no good just getting an opt-in, having someone opt-in into your list only just to send them offer after offer, spam them, beat them over the head, say, hey, Monday, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Tuesday's flavor is better. Wednesday, oh, it's getting even better. Hump flavor. Thursday, wow, looking forward to the weekend. Friday, thank God it's Friday. No, you have to build your relationships with that person. You have to tell a story, and that's exactly what the open and nested loops do. Because what it will do, it will take people through a sequence. It will take people on a journey, and you will leave them just wanting more at the end of each email. And when you do that, you'll find that they'll be eager to receive your email instead of hovering over that delete button or the unsubscribe button. And that is exactly what this soap opera sequencing does. Now, I must give credit where credit is due. One of my great mentors always taught me to give credit to the source. This training is based off the autoresponder madness sequence that Andre Chaperon taught in his course called Autoresponder Madness, and in my opinion is one of the best email marketing courses out there, and there are not too many of them. So this is definitely one of them, and this is the one if you really want to master how to communicate properly with your email prospects that you should get. So let's get to the PowerPoint. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to share my screen, and then you can just follow along. So just bear with me while I share my screen here. Okay, so here we are on the PowerPoint. Let's just go from the current slide. Now, soap opera sequencing, as I've explained to you, is building suspense and tension, having that urge to click on that email, using a suitable headline, using the open and the nested loops. Now, what do we mean by an open loop? Well, if you remember, once you start a story, okay, you build up a slight climax, and then in the middle of that story, you go off to another episode, or you start telling another story. And what tends to happen then is you have that open loop. So people still want to remember this. People want that open loop actually closed. And until it's closed, they're in limbo. They're like, well, what happened? What happened next? What's the next sequence? And obviously the nested loops, and that's what we have here. So let me go to our next slide here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Just bear with me here while I go to the next slide. So what is a secret source and the writing technique that is used? And as you can see here, there's a list of soap operas that use it. There's Lost, there's 24, there's The Sopranos, there's Supernatural, there's Heroes, there's Fringe, there's Flash Forward. And if you notice, all of them have this secret source writing techniques. Now, if you've ever heard of the Stieg Larsson trilogy, or The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nets, you'll see that they all have this. And this is full of that secret source writing technique. Of course, unless you're a serious fiction writer, or you know a lot about NLP, you've probably not heard about what I'm about to reveal to you. But this is really very, very powerful, because what it introduces, as I said at the start, is that open loop. Now, part of the story is left unfinished. There's an ongoing element, okay? There's that cliffhanger effect. There's the need for closure. There's the Zeigarnik effect. And these are what make these emails so engaging, so enticing, and really urge your prospects to keep reading. In fact, if you left them hanging too long, they're probably asking you, well, why haven't I received a second email? Now, you think of them as unfinished stories or elements. Now, what is an open loop? Let me just sort of explain in a little bit of detail here. So an open loop is when you start an idea, thought, or a story, and then, as I mentioned, instead of finishing it, you move on to something else. Now, how many times have you seen that happen in a soap? They start one scene, something's about to happen, they move to another scene, then they move to another one, and then they come back to that scene. Okay? So it's these unfinished stories, these unfinished threads that create some unresolved emotional tension, and that leads to the cliffhanger effect. And it leaves you wondering, well, what the hell is going to happen next? Oh my God, Jack Bauer just got shot and killed. I think it can't be true. Can it? Now, if any of you watched 24, you will know that this was prevalent, that there was this cliffhanger scene. You had to see the next event or the next episode to find out what happened. You're just drawn into it. You want to know, is he dead? Who shot JR way back in the 80s with Dallas, that soap opera? That was a big cliffhanger when they someone shot JR, but you had to wait. I think it was filmed in the spring or the summer. You had to wait until the fall just to find out. So open and nested loops receive, or actually achieve rather, a similar result with email. Because whenever the human brain is presented with an open loop, an unfinished idea, story, episode, element, just scene, it wants closure. It keeps the reader engaged until they have that closure. And many times that closure will come maybe days, weeks. It could be the next email, it could be, just next episode. It could be next month. You're waiting, but in the meantime, you keep feeding. Keep telling stories, nested loops. Okay, so the open loop effect is actually based on the Zeigarnik effect, which states that people remember uncompleted or interrupted tasks better than completed tasks. In other words, there's no need for the mind to switch off once a task has been initiated, right? The lack of closure stems from an unfinished task, which promotes that continued task-related cognitive effort. And to find out more about this, just go and look up the Zeigarnik effect. So nested loops are simply open loops, but nested. What they mean is that multiple story loops can get opened again and again until they get closed. And this is what is very powerful in the open loop sequence. So this is what I've been talking about, the nested loops, multiple story loops that feed off each other, provide support or further interest for the story. You go from one scene to the next, it builds upon the other, but they're still unresolved as to what happened in the first scene, or the second scene, how did it end? They went to the third scene. So here are 3 points that you need to remember. Number one, people need closure. You want to know who killed Jack Bauer. Did he get shot? Did he die? Who killed JR? Who shot him? What happened? Did he survive? Who was the killer? Was it the person we most suspected? Was it somebody different? These are all things that are playing on your mind, and you really have to have closure. You really want to know the answer. And this is how you can weave this into your email sequences with your prospects. So you start telling them about something, stop short, begin another thread, if you like, stop short, go off on another tangent, stop short. There's so many open loops there that need to be closed. And slowly you start tying them back together, okay? And that is what keeps the engagement. That's what keeps people hanging on. People, obviously, as I said, they need to have closure, okay? When they don't get it, then the potential for them to respond predictably increases. So in other words, if you say to someone, I have this traffic source that has taken my conversions through the roof. I'm getting about a 75% conversion from opt-in page to, from squeeze page to opt-in. However, before I tell you about it, let me tell you about this. So what I've just done there is just arouse your curiosity, and I've created an open loop, and I haven't closed it. So you're thinking, well, I got to know, what is this traffic source? How can it have a 75%, opt-in rate? I have to know it. And then I go off somewhere else and I don't tell you about it. And then I come back later on. So you really are going to keep focused, keep engaged. You're going to want to know, well, what is this traffic source? How, when can I learn about it? So when I build up that anticipation, you're definitely going to want to respond. So I could further say, well, I was telling you about that traffic source. It's just days away from me revealing it to you. But in the meantime, if you want to learn more, do this, jump through this hoop, jump through that hoop. So you'll actually do that because you're just so, if you like, enamored with the outcome. You just so want to know, what is this traffic source? You just have to have that closure, okay? And then basically, point number 3 is unfortunately where we have to leave it this week. And we are going to be picking up next week when we're going to make your job easier, and we'll start planning the how, the when, the what, the where of your soap opera sequence story, if you like. But let me just, in review here, cover or review what we've covered today. Okay, so first of all, actually, this is a review of the past 3 weeks, this soap opera sequence, if you like. First of all, number 1 is actually to build the relationship first, okay? So you have to target your prospects, speak to their needs, have that message to market, make sure they're the type of person who has what it is that you're offering. And number 2 is you start your soap opera sequence, okay? Number 3, which we're going to cover more on later, is a product launch sequence, which is different to the soap opera sequence. That revolves around specific products that you can cover in a launch sequence. Now, number 4, we spoke about this last week, was creating your hook, your leverage point. In other words, finding something that is really good, but something that puts icing on the goodness of that product, or finding something that's average, but really tying it together with something that no other person has, so that it makes that average product exceptional because of the way you've packaged it, okay? And then number 5 is building, as I've just explained to you, tension and suspense with open and nested loop. I gave an example with telling you about perhaps if I had a traffic source that was converting at 75% from squeeze page to opt-in, and I said, I'm going to tell you about it. However, I went off on a tangent. I went somewhere else, and you're thinking, well, Chika, please tell me, what is it? I need to know. Can you tell me? I need that traffic source. I need traffic badly. I've got a great offer. I've got a great program. I'm in a wonderful situation. I need that traffic. Can you give me that traffic source that's converting at such a high percentage? And so you want to have that loop closed, and you're sort of enamored. You're like, oh, I got to know. And it really just creates that tension of that predictable outcome in you wanting to know more. So next week, what we'll be doing, as I said, we're going to be covering the storyboard, and we'll be showing you how you can put that all together, how to effectively craft a storyboard and to make your emails much more effective. And it's just going to go on from there. Now, I hope you've actually been enjoying these series. And one thing I do want to ask is, let me just stop sharing my screen and come back to you here. Just bear with me a second. Here I am. Now, I know that we got to point 3, and as if you noticed, we stopped short. And I'm thinking, well, you must have wanted to know, well, what was point 3? And I told you we're going to continue this next week. We're going to talk about storyboarding. We're going to talk about our secret sauce, and we're going to talk about how you actually craft your story and weave it into this soap opera and this product launch sequence. And now that is how you create that open loop, if you like. That is how you build that tension and suspense. But I hope that you've gained some value from what I've just shared. I wanted this to be just somewhat brief, but a little bit detailed, so that we're not covering too much. We're just giving it to you in bites. Now, I purposely didn't want this hangout to go on for too long, the live hangout. Obviously, I don't have Christy to bounce off today, and clearly she doesn't have me, but I wanted just to continue with this soap opera sequencing, the battle for your inbox, showing you how you can use email marketing in an effective way to build a relationship, to persuade and influence your prospects using the soap opera sequence, which is very prevalent in those soaps I mentioned, the Lost, the 24, The Sopranos, The Supernatural, Hero, Fringe, Fast Forward, Dallas, you name it. The soap opera go on, and that's why it seems you never get tired of watching it, because just when you think nothing is happening or it's the same old thing, something new comes up. Someone's about to die. Someone dies. Someone comes back. Someone shows up somewhere else. A crime has been committed. Who did it? Who's the culprit? Not who you think it is. You know, a lot of open and nested loops that continually get closed, but as they get closed, other ones get opened. And this is exactly what you need to do with your email marketing in order to really keep the attention of your readers and have them continually wanting you to email them, having them continually opening your emails and reading, because you're providing such great value as you build your soap opera sequence. As I mentioned, we'll be talking about the product launch sequence coming up and how that ties into all this. But just know that if you're able to do this and do it successfully, then you don't need to have a huge email list. There are a lot of marketers out there who have a huge list but no engagement, and there are others who have a tiny list but more engagement. So I don't know about you, but I would rather have quality over quantity. Yes, people say, you know, a huge list, I can just send out an email and all the money comes trickling in. But you know, you don't want to treat your email list like an ATM. You don't want to treat them, your subscribers, badly. You want to give them so much value. So if you have a small list, but it's a list that listens to you, that is waiting for your every email, that even when you recommend a product, and I'm hoping it's something that you've used yourself and not just because you're getting commissions from it, and you can see the benefit, or you can find a hook to make that product even better, or even if it is good, to really package it in such a way that they would be stupid not to get it from you because of what you're providing over and above what it has already. So those are some ways to really use the power of email, especially the soap opera sequencing with open and nested loops, and engage your prospects further, persuade them, influence them, make them want to open your emails, to do business with you, to know, like, and trust you, and have utmost faith in the fact that you're always providing value and they always look forward to receiving your email. So on behalf of my co-host Christy, who isn't here this week but will be here next week, I want to say thank you very much for watching this, and we're going to put up some links, and just, you know, please check out our page here, like us on Facebook, our fan page, and over the course of the next weeks and months, we're going to be bringing you more. As I said, the storyboard is coming. We'll be talking about things like video marketing. We'll be talking about soul ads. We'll be talking about a lot of things to really help you with your marketing. We just want to provide a lot of value. This isn't something where we come and say, hey, buy this, buy that, join this, join that. No, we're simply doing this because we enjoy doing it, and we hope that you're gaining so much value from it. So again, this is Chika on behalf of Christy. Christy, we'll see you next week, and I hope you've gained some value from this. It was my pleasure being here, and until next week, on behalf of Christy, this is Chika here from Chika and Christy Live, wishing you a pleasant evening, a pleasant night, a pleasant morning or afternoon, depending on where you're watching this, when you're watching this. So Chika signing out. Take care, and we'll see you next time.